come set up for my D&D custom one-shot with me. Before I get into it, you can check out my YouTube short where I show all the items the players received ahead of today. I'll link it below. So first up here I have my DM bits, then I have my base mat, there's a link below on how to make this. I then have some terrain bits, and I've also linked below videos on how to make these bits if you're interested. And finally I have this empty basket. I will use this to hide things that appear later on in the game. This is the setup of my first scene. I have placed a space here where I'll place puzzle markers once riddles are solved, and once the puzzle is complete, the portal will appear. At the head of the table, I set up my DM screen and dice tray. There is also a built-in dice tower here too. I've printed out all the character sheets and got everything set up for the first puzzle. Each tree speaks a riddle, so I printed these out for the players too. And these are my players, each one has a different colour. Once the players complete the first puzzle and enter the portal, they will be transported to the underworld, which I will set up in my living room. This table pulls out, and I'm using this coffee table here for my terrain bits. Here are all the bits I need to set up. Links below on tutorials on how to make these things. Some of my tiles are hiding things that trigger when the players take certain actions, so they all look like blank squares to start, and then I can flip them over. I have these little terrain squares I will use to build paths to each section of the board. I also have these condition rings which will really come in handy. I made these little jars for rolling death saving throws. And I have these little potion bottles for different potions the players can collect and drink. I also have these pre-made dungeon tiles which I'll use for some of the other rooms the players will explore. I've laid out a dice tray for each player and printed their character sheets. And this is how the setup is looking. I laid it out so you start on one end of the table and then venture through the obstacles to get to the other side. And here are some of the traps and monsters they will face along the way. And finally, as this one shot is all homebrewed, I printed myself out a little guide on what happens at each stage. I have the handouts of the riddles here, and I added on some sticky notes of random things that can trigger. I also have some tokens I can hand out if players fail certain checks that give them a disadvantage or a long-lasting side effect. And here are some magic items they can find on the ship. This map here shows where the magic items are found in the ship. I used a website to create these custom monster stat block sheets. I also created some fun interactions where, based on what number the players roll, different things can happen. This here was the answers to a riddle they had to solve, and all the consequences for stepping on the incorrect tile. This is the version the players see. I also created these fun little character sheets for if a player dies, he would reanimate as a ghost. And I have these little tabs here to help me jump between pages. And that's it. If you like this video, let me know and I will create more for my other one-shot setups. See you in the next one.